Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I decided to take y'all on a walk with me at the Biltmore estate, and I started out the video talking to y'all, talking to the camera and all that, but it just got so complicated. People were looking at me and staring and trying to talk to me, and the kids were bothering me. So I just decided to change this portion of the video into a voiceover, but don't fret, later in the video I will be sitting down and talking to you guys about yesterday's live stream, and I will be addressing some of your comments. Before you forget, go ahead and like and hype the video, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let everyone know that this channel is amazing and you guys love me oh so much, and I will see y'all in just a minute. We are here. It is insane that I have to drive a couple of miles to get to the estate, and then once you're at the estate gate, it is a 3-mile trip up to the house. That is some bougie FU kind of money. I decided to take a new route today and accidentally ended up back at the house, so I'm staying over here. We're just gonna loop-de-loop around the gardens, and yeah, I don't know what happened there. Now that I'm back at the house accidentally, I'm just gonna loop all the way around this fountain that's in the middle. It's not on. I'll just loop around a few times until I'm done with my walk. But I'm gonna be walking with attention, guys. I'm gonna be walking at a good pace. Man, I had no freaking idea it was gonna be so hard to walk and talk and record. I mean, I've done it before, but like, there's people everywhere. They want to look at me and stare. There's children. I'm hot. Like, there's hills and steps. I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna go on my walk, and then hopefully afterwards, find a good place to sit down and talk to you all. So we're gonna try to take this from the top. So I just really quickly wanted to come on and follow up on some of the things that we talked about in yesterday's live stream. If you haven't seen it, you definitely need to go back and check it out. But I went back and watched it, and I read the comments. You guys had me dying laughing. Like, y'all were cutting up in the chat. And also there was a couple of comments after the stream as well. People seem to really enjoy that last live stream. I guess a couple ones and twos needed to hear the hard truth or whatever. But I figured we could talk about it again without me being as aggravated. Yo, I had an attitude yesterday. Oh my god. But I'm feeling a bit better today. I slept in, so I'm feeling better. Okay. I'm just gonna do this the way I would usually do it, which is pick out a few comments and then address those. I'll save Jen and Shawnee for last, since I picked on them yesterday enough. I already beat them up yesterday. But let's see. So one of the comments that I did see, actually, let me address one of the ones that I felt like I kind of glossed over when we were actually live, which was the conversation about genetics. Because when I was in the middle of talking, a lot of the comments I couldn't read fully. So I'd read like the first sentence or two and then, go based on that. So that the comment about genetics, at the time, I was just like, miss me with the genetics. But when I went back and watched it and I read the full comment, I think the point that they were trying to make was that some people really just have an advantage when it comes to being able to regulate body weight, and some people really do just have a disadvantage where they can't regulate their body weight as well. So they may be the only big one in the family or in a friend group, or they may be the only small one in a family or friend group. And to that, I have to say, I definitely don't want to come off as dismissive about the genetics conversation, but it does, like, I don't want to say it's irrelevant to the point that I was trying to make yesterday. It's relevant when it comes to overall weight loss, but let's be honest. Like, let's be for real. The conversation that we were having yesterday, or I guess that I was having, y'all, I'm tired. The conversation that I was having was like people not being honest with themselves. Yes, there's genetics. Yes, there's this. Yes, there's that. But if we talk about the majority of cases of overweight and obesity and trying to lose that weight, there's always people that's not being honest with themselves. If genetics played such a huge role, we would not have seen the spike in overweight and obesity that we've seen in the past 40, especially the past 20 years. Like, how did America's what, 250 years old? How do we spend most of that 200 years being at a relatively healthy weight as a country? Oh, wait. Oh, wait. We spent 200 years, give or take, you know, not having ultra processed foods and being able to maintain our weight just like the rest of the world. Then you hit, the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you get all of these ultra processed foods, and then suddenly obesity is skyrocketing across the damn globe, especially in America. That's not everybody's genetics changing or becoming more susceptible to obesity overnight. Like, all of the countries with high obesity rates didn't just have a genetic mutation. And I'm being facetious, but I'm not trying to minimize the point that the person was making. But what I'm saying is, like, when we hyper focus on the genetics, we're basically taken away from the fact that something is going very wrong in society as a whole. And a lot of that isn't our fault, but once you are aware of it, what you do or don't do about it is your fault, okay? Genetics does not explain why all of the half the kids are overweight, the babies are overweight and obese, the kids and the babies got type 2 diabetes. Majority of the country is overweight, obese. That doesn't, genetics don't explain that. Everybody's genetics didn't just become obese genetics over time, or people didn't just develop an obese gene overnight. That's not what happened, okay? So this is societal. This is our environment that's causing the obesity that we are seeing. So thank you for the comment. I have gone back and forth. I have, not felt fondly of moderation, gotten on the moderation train, felt like, nah, fuck that, no moderation, and gotten on the moderation train. So I've been back and forth about this topic myself. This is kind of annoying because I'm facing away from the sunlight. Gross. Okay, whatever. But I've been back and forth about the moderation thing because it's typically treated as an all or nothing thing, meaning like the people that believe in moderation feels like the answer to overeating is moderation for everyone. And the people that are used to overeating feel like there's a flaw in them because they can't moderate foods that they are addicted to. Do y'all see the problem with that? Like, I'm not using the term addicted or addiction lightly at all. People that don't have food addiction tell people with food addiction to moderate the foods that they are addicted to, and that makes absolutely no sense. We already covered most of that yesterday, but I wanted to dig a little deeper into what exactly is so different about food and obesity as a condition that people feel differently when it comes to people feel differently versus like an alcoholic and alcohol, or heroin addict and heroin. What's the difference? And the difference is it's a bias. Like, am I is there anything else? Like, I'm not saying that as a victim of anything. It's a bias. There's a fat bias. There's a bias against being overweight. There's a bias against obesity. And there's a bias against, like, the people that become overweight and obese, clearly they became overweight and obese because there's a character flaw of them just overeating too much. Just put down the fork. V, just put it down, you know? Even though the food is formulated, the food is created, the ultra processed foods are specifically designed and engineered, right? There are whole teams of scientists and chemists and all types of specialists that are put together to design these foods for maximum desirability, right? You're basically being tricked every time you put a donut in your mouth. Like, this is not the anti-donut campaign, okay? I love me a donut. This is not the anti-cookie campaign. I love me a cookie. But just hear me out as far as the point that I'm trying to make. Every time you put a cookie or a donut or a slice of pizza made with ultra processed flour, every time you put these frankenfoods in your mouth, you are tricking your brain into wanting more and more and more and more. However, not everybody has that experience. Everybody may experience the reward, or most people may experience the reward, but not everybody becomes addicted. So there does need to be a separation and a distinction between the people that can eat these things on occasion and be perfectly fine, never see any problems with their weight, or the people that lose control of themselves eating these things and you're telling them to just eat it less, right? It's a spectrum, and you're going to find all different types of people in between. You're going to find people that eat lots of ultra processed foods and don't gain any weight. But you know what's always left out about those people? People like, oh, I had a cousin that could eat whatever they want and never gain any weight. You know what's always left out about that? Y'all were young, y'all were kids, y'all were teenagers, maybe even in college. But I want to know if a person is in their 50s and 60s, even their 40s, being able to eat whatever amount of processed food that they want and they're not gaining any weight. And then on top of that, I thought about this when I rewatched the stream. We always say, oh, they were able to eat as much as they want. Yeah, but what were they doing when you're not around them, or when you're not looking? Like, I find it hard to believe that there are people that exist in this world that are eating ultra processed foods all day, every day, and then not gaining weight. Now, if they're doing that, let's say at school, but not doing that at home, that's a different story. If they're doing that at home, but not doing it when they're at the grandparents' house, then that's a different story. I don't think the people that we perceive as eating whatever they want, one, I don't think they eat as much as we think they do as far as quantity. And I don't think they eat as often as we think they do. So, for example, we go out to lunch or dinner with that friend that's always been thin, or that cousin that's always been thin, and they don't have to deny the burger. They don't have to deny the dessert. They don't have to deny the sugary drinks. And we think that they eat like that all day long. Now, I know there's going to be somebody that comments like, no, but V, for real, like,
my cousin, my friend, my brother, my uncle, my aunt, they really eat like that all day long, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They wake up at 8 o'clock and they're eating waffles, and then by lunch they're eating a bagel, and then by a second lunch they're having a mocha choca, and then by their pre-dinner they're having fried chicken and mac and cheese, and then by their dinner they're having I don't know, steak, and they're having ice cream and apple pie.
And I'm just, listen, I'm not convinced. I'm just telling y'all that right now. I'm just telling y'all that right now that I am not convinced. So, I mean, you could say it, but I'm gonna be like, okay, if you'll say so. But anyway, I don't think that people are aware of how much they're eating, and then they perceive other people as eating a lot. Like, people that are clearly thin, they perceive them as eating a lot or overeating, and then they look at themselves and they're like, I don't eat nearly as much, but I'm gaining so much weight. And listen, hot take, I believe that the people that are the thinnest, they don't eat as much as we think they do. I don't think it's because, oh, they're so perfect about counting calories and none of that. No. I just think that their hormones and their metabolisms are set up so that, yeah, maybe they could get a little away with a little more food, but also I don't think they're eating as much as people claim that they are eating. And then when it comes to overweight and obese people, whether you're on a GLP-1 or not, and you're struggling with weight loss, I don't think we're being honest about how much we're eating, even if it's not the amount, the types of things that we're eating. And I just wanted to make it a point that, listen, Linda, you gotta, I don't want to say you gotta pick a side, but it's like, some of us that have been overweight and obese our whole lives are so stubborn about getting rid of the foods that made us overweight and obese. And when I say get rid of, What I mean is, if your objective is to lose weight, you cut these things out in the beginning. That don't even necessarily mean cold turkey. That whether you have to wean yourself off, whether you have to step yourself off, the objective is to get all of these foods out of your diet while you're losing the weight, and keep them out of your diet while you're losing the weight. If not 100% of the way, then maybe 98, 99, 99.99% of the way. But the more you introduce it, the more the cravings are going to stick, the more you're going to set yourself back. And then maybe after you've lost the weight, after you've done the work, after you've worked on your discipline, because we've talked about this before, obesity is a sign of a lack of discipline. Not because you're supposed to be disciplined enough to not eat ultra processed foods, but it's also like you have to be disciplined enough to educate yourself on your eating once you are an adult. When you're a kid and you grow up in poverty in a food desert and all that, you don't have any control of that. But you do have to be disciplined enough to make sure you have decent enough doctors that are going to tell you the truth. You have to be disciplined enough to understand and know that you should have a physically active lifestyle, and that no, you cannot go out drinking every weekend and expect to lose weight. Being disciplined is even acknowledging that you got to lose the weight in the first place, because some people can't even get that far. Some people are still stuck in, I ain't got to lose the weight. A little weight ain't never hurt nobody. It's not a little weight. Your back is wide. It's wide. Okay, it's not a little bit of weight. But anyway, before I get carried away, the idea is to remove these foods to limit the struggle. Is it hard at first? Sure. But take it from a person that's taken 2 years to lose roughly 100 pounds. I could have gotten this weight off sooner had I just taken life seriously sooner, had I just been honest with myself a lot sooner. Now, once you've done the work, you got the weight off, you worked on a discipline, you've worked with a dietitian, you understand the difference between food and ultra processed food, you understand what your temptation and what your triggers are, you understand where your limitations lie, you understand how to say no to some things, you understand that it's okay, like, you understand that the difference between having the cake at the birthday party and not having the cake is not addiction. It's not. In the beginning, it is. Like, in the beginning, it's, oh, I can't say no. But then you are capable of getting to a point where you go to the birthday party and there's cake and you get to choose. It's a wonderful feeling when you get to choose. You get to say, no, I don't want the cake. I might have some of this Kool-Aid jammer. Not to say that I would pick a Kool-Aid jammer over cake. I'm clearly picking the cake if I want cake that day. But it's like, there's a point where you have restricted enough, or you have gone without long enough, that when you get around that food, you're not so easily triggered. But it takes time and it's hard work. There comes a point where you get to choose, like, I'm going to have a cupcake at this birthday party and it's going to be good. Or you say, I'm going to have a cupcake, but I don't want all this frosting. I'm about to wipe this frosting off where nobody's looking and I'm going to eat my cupcake. Or you're going to say, I don't want a cupcake. You're not better than another person for not picking the cupcake. You're not better than another person for wiping the frosting off the cupcake that you did decide to eat. You may choose something else at the birthday party for instead of the cupcake. Or you may make a conscious decision that I'm going to split this cupcake with my niece. I'm going to split this cookie with my nephew. And I'm going to have a little bit of that margarita that they have over yonder. The difference is the ability to make the decision. Rude. Get out my shot, truck. It's gross. Anyway, the difference is the ability, having the ability to choose. It is a level of control that some of us, one, haven't realized yet because we haven't practiced, but also we haven't realized yet because we've spent most of our lives not being able to say no. So I'm saying, if you are in a position where you know you can't say no, you have to say no. You have to say no, or it'll always be a yes. If you, let me run it back. If you know you can't say no, then you have to say no, or it will always be a yes. There will always be an excuse to have those 3 cupcakes or those cookies or that drink or this and this, and you will be constantly setting yourself back with, oh, there's nothing wrong with enjoying yourself a little bit. Find other ways to enjoy yourself. Get you an annual pass at the Biltmore and come walking here and look at some flowers and shit. Okay. The other thing is, I guess this video is going to be longer than I thought. The other thing is the substitutions. Stop falling for the substitution trap. So let's get to Nicole's comment about, V, what's going on? Are you lying about what you're eating, or are we just talking about this? No, I'm not lying about what I'm eating. I was triggered because I've been replacing sugar with artificial sweeteners, and it's dawning on me that this is not helping. Like, it helps to an extent, but I always reach the point where I'm overdoing it, and then I have to remove it in order for my weight loss to continue. So I'm battling it out with the artificial sweeteners right now. I'm trying to find a balance, and if I can't find a balance, they're just gonna have to go. They're just gonna have to go, right? I'm team, if you're gonna have the sugar, just have it, but you might want to not have it or limit it to about 20 to 30 grams a day, maybe 50 grams max if you're trying to lose the weight. So no, I haven't been lying about what I've been eating. Y'all know I will come on here and tell y'all I ate a donut. I will come on here and tell y'all I had Chick-fil-A 2 days in a row, which hasn't been in a while. But I'll come on here and tell y'all that. It's just I got frustrated with the substitution idea as well. Just substitute everything and then overeat and overdrink the substitutes. That's what was frustrating me, and that's why I decided to go on a rampage yesterday. Like, listen, we need to stop with a little bit of this and a little bit of that, because every time I get on the little bit of this, little bit of that train, I set myself back or I stall out. And it's like, there needs to be an idea of a 100% lock-in. Just lock in. Just lock in. And I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying, oh, what is, you can just do it. I'm saying it's going to be hard. Let's normalize doing hard things. Hashtag 75 hard. Whatever, Jen. Let's normalize doing hard things. All right. Some of us have the help of a GLP-1. Yes, because we don't want that part to be hard, right? We don't want to be fighting cravings and stuff like that. But what is causing the craving? It's the thing that you're eating. You're desiring the thing that you're already eating. So if you stop eating it, eventually the craving will go away. So that's that. Now, let me real quickly address Jen's comment, and I think it was Kim K on the playback. So Jen's comment first. Jen said in the live chat, I don't something about not understanding when people be talking about eating through their shot. Her solution to that is to just go up, but she's toxic. And no matter how many times I explain this to Jennifer, she's just gonna keep saying, listen, I don't got time for all that, up your dose. Okay, here's where I stand on upping your dose because you don't have control of your eating. I think that that's a mistake. I think that a GLP-1 is a tool to help you do the things that you're already struggling with wanting to do in the first place. So you want to control your cravings, but you're struggling. You want to control your appetite, but you're struggling. You want to dim down that reward that you get from food so much, but you're struggling. Yes, okay, I agree with getting on the GLP-1. You want to help with the inflammation. You want to help with all the stuff, the wonderful stuff, the blood sugar control that you get from the Zepbound. Well, specifically, I'm talking about tirzepatide. Yes, absolutely. That's wonderful. But this is my personal opinion. I'm not trying to convince nobody of anything otherwise. Do what you do, right? There is no award for struggling on a GLP-1, right? So if you're on the struggle bus, the question is why you're on the struggle bus. And I was only addressing one aspect of it yesterday, which is you're not being honest about what you're putting in your mouth because you feel entitled to still eat the things that made you big in the first place. However, there is a such thing as your dose not being high enough. Now, I did a whole reaction to Brittany Rose when she said, if you have to think about food, your dose is not high enough. I don't care. I'm standing on it. I'm dying on this hill. She said something to that effect, right? And I went on a whole rampage because I'm like, that's not what GLP-1s are for, right? Like, do what y'all do. Do what y'all do. But this is my opinion on it. GLP-1s aren't so you never want to eat or never think about food again or never have a craving or never enjoy food. Like, if that's what you want out of a GLP-1 and you achieve that, okay, good for you. Like, I don't have nothing to say to that. But for me personally, I have been on doses that were just right, that blocked out the food noise and controlled my appetite. I've been on doses that were too high and I couldn't eat. I didn't want to eat. I didn't like the idea of food. Food was stupid to me. I've also been on doses where the cravings are back, the food noise is back, the hunger is back, but I'm still not overeating, right? Like the GLP and GIP are still going to stop me from overeating, but it's not going to stop me from wanting the food in the first place. So I've experienced I've experienced the spectrum being on a GLP-1, and I say that my least favorable experience was when I didn't want food at all, ever. That is miserable to me. Like, that is not, I don't think it takes that to be a skinty girl. Like, never wanting food, never enjoying food, never craving food. Like, I don't think it takes, if you like that, if that's your thing, then go for it. But for me personally, I don't think it takes that in order to be successful on a GLP-1. Now, I don't believe in struggling on a GLP-1, meaning like you're hungry all the time, you're having cravings all the time, you're having food noise. No, the tool is there, so use it. Get up to your, high enough dose where you don't have those problems. But sometimes people make it seem like the idea is to never be hungry, to never crave food, to never have an enjoyable experience with food, and it's like that's not necessary. That's, to me personally, that's not necessary. So the reason why I don't titrate up every time I'm struggling with my eating is because I have spent time becoming aware of where the struggle is stemming from. Is the struggle stemming from hunger? No. Is the struggle stemming from mood? A lot of the time, yes. Is the struggle stemming from stress or my menstrual? Yes. Is the struggle stemming from habit? I just like certain rituals that include certain drinks and certain foods. Yes. Is the struggle sometimes being social? Like, I want to be able to have pizza with my dad, but it's really not like pizza gonna get in the way of what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? But what I meant by eating through my shot, kind of flippantly or tongue in cheek, is I could not crave cookies, but like I cannot physically be craving a cookie, but because of my environment or because of my mood, I want the cookie because of the familiar feeling that I'm used to getting before a GLP-1. That just takes a lot of work to get through. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of talk therapy, behavioral cognitive therapy. It just takes a lot of work to get through that. Titrating up just to address my behavior with food is not gonna help me personally. I don't know about y'all, but me titrating up every time I'm indulging in some fucked up behavior as far as food or ultra processed food, or I'm just being lazy, or I'm just not holding myself accountable, or I'm just showing a lack of discipline, for people like me, right, that eat for reasons outside of hunger, just titrating up is not the answer to help address the behavior. It's not. Like, if anything, I'm just putting a band-aid over it and not really addressing it, because what happened when I got on the 10 milligram the first time and I didn't have any cravings for anything. Yeah, I lost weight, but I also developed anhedonia. I really didn't have pleasure for much of anything. I dropped my dose down back to the 7.5, and yeah, the cravings came back, the food noise came back, but it allowed me to practice when to say no and when to say yes. That was a wonderful experience, but it also put me in a position where I'm still trying to lose weight. I don't have time to be dilly-dallying around with a 7.5 milligrams. So I titrated back up to the 10, not to control my behaviors, but to actually address the hunger. Like, that's what it was about. So I agree with titrating up to address hunger. But I also believe that there has to be a point where we just simply know what to do with hunger, because what about the people that end up on the 15 milligram for a couple of years at a time, and then suddenly it's no longer working for them, or suddenly the food noise is back? I think RMZ had this experience. So to that I say, listen, do what y'all want to do. If you know you're engaging in sabotage behavior and your answer to that is to just titrate up to the next dose so that you don't have to think about the behavior that you're engaging in, then so be it. But I'm team don't struggle with hunger, right? Don't struggle with hunger or food noise, but your dose should be just high enough that you're able to eat. You may get hungry on occasion, especially if you're working out. You may have, a little bit of cravings around day 6 or 7, but it's manageable. If it's like, oh my God, no, I got a craving for cake, time to go up. It's like, come on. Like, oh God, no, I wanted ice cream yesterday and then cookies today. I think it's time to go up. It's like, well, why did you want the ice cream and the cookies? Like, maybe it was okay to have the ice cream and then not the cookies, or maybe it was okay to have both. Maybe you were on vacation and you were in an environment and inundated with ice cream and cookies, so that's why you wanted it. Now, y'all know I'm team stay skinny on vacation. I don't play them games. But it's like, you have to be able to ask these questions of yourself. And if you just keep titrating up until the point where you don't have to think about it, then so be it. Hopefully the dose that you are on for the rest of your life is enough to never have to address those issues, is what I have to say to that. Okay, the last one I wanted to address is Kim's comment about how she understands the point that I'm coming from. She actually agrees. And she's also honest about the fact that she still wants to have these foods. She just wants to be mindful of the amount, and hoping that Zebbound will be there to help her out to not overdo it with the processed foods, because she still wants to enjoy these things. I also saw Cindy in the chat like, oh, I'm going to have cake today. Oh, I might have some Oreos today. Let me just clear this up, okay? And thank you guys for the comments. My point, again, was to not ever eat these things. If you have already lost your weight or you already have a good rhythm with your weight loss, I'm not talking to you. If you are in maintenance and you already found your balance, your 80-20, 70-30, 90-10, I'm talking to the people around you that's complaining that they can't lose no weight, whether they have a GLP-1 or not. But most of us are on a GLP-1. So I thought Kim's comment was really good, because it's like, well, that's just called being mindful. I literally just learned the term for this while reading Dr. Jason Fung's book. I didn't realize there was an actual strategy of eating called mindfulness or mindful eating. I didn't know that. I guess I kind of knew, but I didn't know there was a terminology for it. And that's just being aware of the choices that you're making and being comfortable with your choice rather than feeling helpless and doing things on autopilot. So when you have a food addiction, a lot of the times you're not even paying attention to what you're eating, how much you're eating, how fast you're eating, how often you're eating. A lot of this happens on autopilot, and a lot of it happens where we feel like we get out of control with the eating as badly as we don't want to. And what do we call that? Hinging, right? I'm saying if you're in that category, you should not be tempting yourself at all. I'm sorry, that's my stance, but I'm not a doctor. Talk to your local doctor down at the community college. I'm sorry, talk to your local scientist down at the community college. Talk to your PCP. But to me, if you are losing control when you eat certain foods, you should not eat those foods. Now, after you've done the work, okay, and you've lost the weight, then sure, if you know the difference between I don't want the donut, I don't have to take the donut. Or I do want the cupcake, I'm gonna have the cupcake. If you know the difference between those things, then I think it's perfectly fine to enjoy yourself. Have the Oreos, have the birthday cake. If I went to a birthday party tomorrow, I'm going to have birthday cake. Like, I'm not saying don't have it. But what I am saying is that for me personally, because I have an additional 20 pounds to lose, I'm not willing, like, I've done enough work over the 2 years that I can pick and choose when to say yes and no. The problem that I start to have with myself is that I still fall for the trap of too many yeses while I'm trying to still lose weight. So one yes turns into 7 yeses that week. It may not be the same thing. It may be yes to a mocha choca today, and then yes to the free donut tomorrow, and then yes to the pizza the next day, and then yes to the cupcake the next day after that, and then yes to the larger mocha choca the next. It becomes too many yeses at once. So although I may not be where I was, where I would have the mocha choca, the donut, and the pizza, in the same day, I may not be there anymore, but I'm still getting in the way of the next 20 pounds that I'm trying to lose. So I say, if you want to enjoy your Oreos, enjoy your Oreos. But don't be crying about why you can't lose weight. If you feel like every time you go out to brunch with your friends or with your partner or something like that, you got to have the waffle, you got to have the pancakes, or you got to go to every function, and you got to save your appetite for every occasion that's coming up. You don't want to prep, you don't want to have a conversation with yourself. Don't complain about why you can't lose weight. Oh, I'm on a GLP-1. I think I just need to up my dose. Okay, it'll work temporarily, but eventually that monkey on your back gonna catch up with you. It's gonna catch up with you. And I'm just sick of people pretending that what they're putting in their mouth has nothing to do with the fact that they're struggling with weight loss. Yes, it may be your genetics. Yes, it may be that you're going through postpartum. Yes, it may be that you're pregnant. Sidebar. I should have got out of here while I had the chance. Oh, damn. Sidebar. I posted about Anne Hathaway on my community because I saw this post on Instagram basically asking, like, how do these celebrities not get fat all over the place, not have fat arms, not have fat necks and all of that, fat faces when they get pregnant. And I went to the comments and people were like, localized lipo and Photoshop and this and that. Mind you, Anne Hathaway has always been thin. Whatever, she looks phenomenal. And there was one comment that was like, having dietitians, personal trainers, and chefs also helps with these things. And this person had 4,000 likes on their comment. And I replied to them like, who's gonna tell them? You are. You gonna tell them. Because it's not that fucking complicated, okay? I'm not gonna have a whole rampage about weight gain and pregnancy and all of that, but I am gonna say this. There are some people that are just about that life and not about to let their condition get their weight out of control. Whether that condition is pregnancy, whether it's being on steroids, whether it's losing a limb, whether it's I don't know, whatever you be going through menopause, whether it's being on their period. I let it happen every month. I let it happen every goddamn month. But listen, some of that is outside of your control, right? So her pregnancy, she's gonna gain weight from the pregnancy, but she not about to let it be no 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds. And that's not me coming for mothers or anything. That's me saying, why are we looking at a woman that was already thin before her pregnancy, talk about genetics, and then she's relatively, like, the only weight it looks like she's gained is from the actual baby, and we're looking like, how do they do it? Must be lipo and Photoshop. And it's like, or they have doctors that tell them the truth. They already went into the pregnancy knowing that they only need to put on a specific amount of weight for it to be healthy amount of weight. They are continuing their exercise, or starting if they weren't already. They are watching what they're eating. They have people to help them. And I don't want to hear, oh, but all of us is rich and have dietitians and da. Y'all got GLP-1s, don't you? You don't want to get a dietitian? Fine, do the research on your own. You don't want to get a gym membership? Fine. Why are you not outside at the Biltmore for a hot girl walk? Like, I don't want to hear it, okay? So that was a little bit of rant. Shout out to Anne Hathaway. She looks phenomenal. If you're wondering why she ain't putting on 50 pounds while she's pregnant, it's because she don't want to. That's why. And if you were one of the people that put on 50 pounds while you're pregnant, knowing what you know now, would you do it again? If you haven't been pregnant before and you want to have kids someday, do you want to put on 50 pounds while you're pregnant? Do you feel like you have some, not complete, but some level of control over that? Some of the weight gain is just going to happen no matter what you do. But 50, 60, 70, that is a choice that's being made by people that just aren't paying attention because they're being told that they don't have to. And that same exact logic applies to everybody else. I'm on a GLP-1. I don't got to pay attention to what I'm eating. I go to the gym. I don't got to watch what I'm eating. I'm pregnant. I don't got to watch what I'm eating. Oh, I'm going through menopause. I can't control what I'm eating. If you say so. I actually read a case study, not a case study, but Dr. Fung put in one of his books that a lady that had lost weight, using fasting, you don't got to fast if you don't want to, but losing weight during fasting, started going through menopause and didn't gain no weight. She actually lost weight in menopause. I think sometimes we have these conversations like they're absolutes, and they're not. Some of this is just us not doing the research and not paying attention. So with that being said, that is the end of my rant. Thank you all for all of your comments. I feel like that live stream was really great. I had a good time, even though I was irritated. I'm a little less irritated this morning. My stevia came, my liquid stevia. All right. So I'm going to go try something new. I'm going to go try getting a nice coffee with no sugar in it and adding the stevia myself. I might put some unsweetened vanilla in there. We'll see. So stick around for the end of the video because I might have a clip of me doing that and whether or not it was actually good. If you haven't already, like, share, subscribe. Make sure to hype the video, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye. good. I think the first two squeezes weren't enough, and then I got a little carried away for the third. I put like a heavy third squeeze, so I'd say it's probably like 4 or 5 total. But had I just kept counting, 3 probably would have been enough. So that's actually pretty good. And I also got me a wake up wrap, which is really just bacon, eggs, and cheddar cheese. They have a $6 meal deal at Dunkin' where you can get 2 wraps and a coffee. And I'm running out of time to go home and cook. This is what happens when I want to take care of you guys. So again, thank you for watching. Splenda and iced coffee. I dig it. Bye.